What's going on, Wiz Nation? Coming back at you guys with another episode of State of the Wizards. Thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome back to episode 8 of State of the Wiz. We're going to call this episode Kobe. We're going to dedicate this to the late, great Kobe Bryant and his memory. We made it to 8, my dude. How's everything going for you over there?
Oh, everything is going good, man. Definitely glad that we made it to 8 episodes and counting. We're definitely going to dedicate it to Kobe Bryant when we hit episode 24.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely looking forward to seeing what the home team do, as well as the NBA season starts. There's quite a few players in the league that I want to see as well. But let's get started talking about the home team. It's definitely a topic of discussion that we need to discuss that doesn't seem like everybody else is even concerned about discussing.
Right. And I mean, we know what that is, and we know who that player is. The season is right here. Season's upon us. But before we get started, of course, we got to do our usual shout out to our followers. We are now building our subscriber base up on YouTube. We're also getting more views on our YouTube page as well for State of the Wizards. And we can't be any more thankful and appreciative of the people that are continuing to support State of the Wizards. You guys are awesome. We wouldn't do this without you guys, obviously. So thank you. Again, subscribe to State of the Wizards on YouTube. Also, follow me on @Wizards Mafia. I believe I was saying @Wiz Takes before, but I just learned recently that somebody took my Wiz Takes Twitter handle. They actually took the name, but they didn't take the Wiz Takes brand. He just took the Wiz Takes name for Twitter, but @Wizards Mafia, and you'll see Wiz Takes there. So make sure you follow me on Twitter, and there you go.
Also follow him on Patreon. You know what, man, there's nothing wrong with people want to be a part of the Voice of the Unheard, but you don't have to take somebody's name to be a part of that. I mean, come on, man. You got to steal the man's name? But follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, follow me on IG @DC Hoopla. Definitely appreciate you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. State of the Wizards. And again, look, man, you ain't got to take the man's name.
Right. I mean, so many names out there. You ironically, you said you came up with Wiz Takes. Out of all the names you could have came up with, Wiz Takes was the one you came up with. Nah, bro. That's all me. So if you're watching this, I'm Wiz Takes, not you.
He's the original Wiz Takes.
Facts. All right, so let's get into it, man. We're gonna dive right in. So you and I have already discussed this offline. We feel like our man is not getting any type of love whatsoever. Nobody's talking about him. It seems like right now people are just kind of like, oh yeah, well, he has a situation going on, talking about Rui Hachimura. So what's your take on this whole, debacle right now between Rui and the Wizards organization? People are going to simply think that we're trying to make something out of nothing when it was just, Rui not reporting in training camp. And he said it was more, health, mental health related. But do you believe that there's something deeper going on between Rui and the Wizards organization? Give me your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Again, like I said in the last episode, what stood out to me was the fact that he sent a text. Um,
Right.
there was no physical contact whatsoever. And we're in the training camp, but he's not being talked about. And everybody's saying, well, it's more so mental health and the show must go on. Yeah, the show must go on, but he's still a member of this team.
Right.
Until he's traded, he's still a member of this team. But again, what stands out to me is the fact that he texted. We haven't heard any type of information,
Nothing.
far as he's doing okay.
Right.
He's planning to report to camp. we don't even know if that's even going to happen. And I said that last week. I said, I don't even know if this guy is even going to report to camp, maybe even play this season. And what bothers me is how the organization is just kind of carrying on like nothing's happened. They did it last week with the whole COVID conversation. They said their piece, and then they want to kind of brush it off and sweep it under the rug and just let's just pretend that this never happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a human being right now,
Right.
who is completely like AWOL. We don't know anything. And basically the organization is moving on and not even addressing the situation at all. So I don't like how the way they're handling this situation.
I agree. I don't like the way that they're handling it either. I feel like, Rui right now could be in a bad mental space. There could be a whole lot of things that we don't know that's going on in Rui's personal life. There could be a whole lot of different things, whether it's personal or basketball related. But one thing I can say is that when we drafted Rui, the idea was for Rui to be a cornerstone of this franchise. We drafted Rui to essentially be the leader, to Bradley Beal, of course. But if Bradley Beal was traded or if Bradley Beal is no longer here, Rui is supposed to be the next guy up. Rui is supposed to be the franchise guy. He's, from Japan. He's carrying an entire country on his back, right? So not only is he one of those players, but Denny is also another one of those players where these guys are representing not only the Washington Wizards and a city, but they're representing an entire country. And these guys are stars in their own country.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what someone told me today. All right. And shout out to this person. So he said to me, foreign-born players who represent their country, they want to be the star of their teams. They want to be the star of their franchises. All right. If the Wizards at any point promised Rui or promised Denny that these guys would be the face of the franchise, that hasn't happened yet. That hasn't happened. And so what I'm getting at is that there's a good possibility, and again, this is speculation, no proof. There's a good possibility that Rui, coming back from the Olympic break, he represented his entire country. Okay. He probably felt let down that he didn't come through for his country. That's a huge responsibility for Rui, right? You're telling him he was the first guy. He's the main guy in his country. He's the star over there. Hey, he's the LeBron James in Japan. Now you're asking him to come back and play third, possibly fourth fiddle on a team that made all these changes in the offseason. Someone now possibly competing for your starting role. Mm-hmm. To me, it makes perfect sense why he didn't immediately come back. Man. Because of those things that I just mentioned. Okay. Again, I don't know what's going on in Rui's personal life. I don't know the man personally. He could possibly be having some serious mental health issues, but you can't dismiss any of those things that I just stated that could be contributing factors for why he didn't come back and start the season with the Wizards immediately.
Well, let me say this to kind of piggyback off what you said. One of the things I remember looking up months ago is that, and you and I had talked about this offline too, there was an article that came out during the season, and it came from Israel. So, it was from Denny's camp.
Yep.
And one of the members of Denny's camp said that the expectations was him and Rui were going to be the face of the franchise, but they couldn't because the organization was worried about the backcourt at the time.
Right.
You and I had talked about that.
Right.
So then when it comes down to Rui Hachimura, when I looked it up, there was a reason why we drafted Rui Hachimura. The thing is, Rui Hachimura has high expectations, not only by the organization, but has high expectations of his homeland. So actually has interviews in English and in Japanese as well. He
Mm-hmm.
has big, huge endorsements over there in Japan. Think back to, I would say, almost 18 years ago when Yao Ming was drafted #1. He was the first Chinese player to even be drafted that high.
Mm-hmm.
Houston did not make him be like a complimentary piece to that franchise. Now, mind you, Steve Francis was there and he was the face of the franchise, but that changed when Yao Ming got there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Yao
Immediately.
Ming became a global icon
Mm-hmm.
alone just based off of where he's from. That was supposed to be expectations for Rui, because once you say, well, this is the first player drafted from this
Yeah.
particular
Right.
location,
Right.
that's high expectations. It's the
Yeah.
first Japanese drafted player, and we have the first Israel player,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not treating it as such. You
Right.
know, a while back, remember, and I'm going to just throw this into baseball and I'll bring it back to basketball. Look at Otani. Look at what he's been doing.
Yep.
And remember, I
Absolutely.
said to you, I said, Dwayne, why are we not doing Rui the way the Angels are doing Otani?
Right. Right.
So here's what I am going to say.
Well, let
When
me
we
hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold that thought, because I want to say something real quick. He's endorsed by Jordan Brand. Okay, so the expectation is that he's going to live up to not only his country, but also the endorsement deals that he has as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead and continue your point.
So my point was, here's another point that I was going to make when it comes down to Rui Hachimura. When he was drafted, I remember John Wall saying that he was going to take him up under his wing and he was going to just teach him everything he needed to teach him. Now, why do you think John Wall said that? Because even John Wall knew back then that this was going to be the next guy to be the face of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. John Wall is no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
So during Rui's time that he's been here, he's been told that he needs to be more aggressive. He's been told he needs to take the shot.
By
He's been
who?
told he needs to do this. He needs to
By
do
who?
that.
Who said that?
I mean, it ain't no secret who said it. I'm not going to say it because in
Oh,
this
you
episode, I'm
not.
not going to talk about that guy.
Oh, you not.
But I said, but let me say this. But you haters out there, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The person that's expecting to get paid all this ridiculous money. This guy said that he needs to be more aggressive. So the elephant in the room is, could it possibly be that there's a disconnect
Yeah.
within the organization of
Yeah.
people trying to cater to this guy here, and then there are some that wants to cater to Rui, and maybe Rui is stressed out and frustrated to the point he just decided doesn't want to report to camp. Maybe he wants out of DC, and maybe that's the reason why the organization is not even talking about it, where they're just treating it like, oh well, you know what, he's having a moment. Let him sit in timeout, and when he's ready to get out of timeout, we'll go ahead and address. No, man, this is a human being. You guys gotta tell us something. Why is this dude AWOL?
And look, here's my thing. For those viewers out there who's watching this, don't get mad at us for speculating, because the organization hasn't given you guys one reason to believe that everything is okay between Rui and the organization. They haven't said anything but the fact that he hasn't reported training camp because of mental health issues. You guys criticized Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn when he said the exact same thing, and he wasn't reporting to training camp. And you guys wanted to know Stephen A. Smith was on First Take, oh, this is just ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. It was all about, at that point in time, why Kyrie and why the Brooklyn Nets was not seeing eye to eye on that situation. Kyrie was...
Stay right there real quick since you brought up, I ain't mean to cut you off.
Right,
since you brought up Kyrie. So I saw where Kyrie still hasn't reported to camp, and I guess he's also saying he's not going to get vaccinated. I saw on Twitter a person say, oh, well, they need to trade him then.
Yeah, yeah.
This is pertaining to Kyrie. Now,
Right.
people will say, well, Kyrie is a different type of player than Rui Hachimura. It doesn't matter.
No,
Rui Hachimura plays for the Washington Wizards. He represents the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
Okay? Why are we not talking about where he is? Why is it, oh, well, he's going through a mental health, and then we just stick with that? The man texted. Like,
right.
he didn't even physically show up.
He didn't physically show up. He didn't.
And we're going to just deal with a damn text?
I mean, my thing is, look, this is crazy because, I mean, we're talking about a human being. Like you said, this is a human being. a text message could be anybody. I mean, I'm not going down the road of speculating that the man is literally like maybe missing, but to me, that's how concerned you'd have to be for somebody's well-being if they don't report to training camp and then all they're doing is texting and saying, this is mental health for why I'm not returning. Like, what's going on? Like, there has to
Did
be a
somebody in the
little bit.
Wizards organization has somebody in the organization been keeping in contact with him since last week?
Right. They're not saying anything.
They're not saying anything.
Not,
So
not
here's what
only,
I'm thinking, man. I think he might be back in Japan right now, and maybe he just cut off communication with the Wizards altogether. That they probably can't reach out to him, via text.
man,
But if let's just say if he is in Japan, you can't tell me that the general manager can't hop on a damn plane and fly to Japan to find out where he is. I know he got to know where he is. To me, there's something going on in the organization. Once again, is mishandling the situation altogether. Another thing, too, to bring up, the Wizards organization mishandled his situation last season when it came down to COVID. You remember he had the pink eye. They just mentioned that, but they kind of mishandled that whole situation. They weren't really trying to tell us what was going on, even when it came down to that.
right. They
So
weren't up front. Right.
I think it's broken promises that the organization has made, and then with them mishandling his situation last off season, and then probably was more broken promises that was made this off season. Because let's keep in mind there was a lot of activity within the Wizards organization as far as player movement. You
Mm-hmm.
got guys like Kyle Kuzma coming in. You got all these other players. We got a log jam in the forward position, which people were saying was a major log jam, and the Wizards didn't do nothing
Mm-hmm.
to clear that up. So
Mm-hmm.
he's probably wondering, well, damn, am I even going to start this season? Is Kyle Kuzma going to take my job?
I mean, really, like, the way we're going about business right now is almost like Rui's not on the roster. Almost like we don't even need him. That's how we're going about business. To me, I don't know if this was something that was already boiling up and Tommy was already hip to that. So he was like, hey, we're also gonna have to think about, filling this spot just in case Rui doesn't come back. Look, we don't know. We don't know. But it's not our job to sit here and wait for everything to line up perfectly. It's our job. Look, we State of the Wizards. We're telling you the state of the Wizards. That's the point of this show, is that we're talking about the state that we see the Wizards in. And if you guys just can't, understand that, then, I can't help you. At the end of the
You're not
day,
really a fan.
exactly. At the end of the day, we're fans. We want to know what's going on. We want to know, why is Rui Hachimura, a guy who's supposed to be in his third year, not on the roster right now? I think mental health is just, it just doesn't give us everything that we absolutely need to know. And not only that, my dude, I mean, I don't know how many other players don't report immediately because of mental health issues, but the national media hasn't even really grabbed onto this story and like that. And I don't know if it's because it's just a non-story, but right now, man, this looks like a missing person situation to me. It really does. I
I think
mean,
the national media doesn't really think of it as a big deal, and I don't think the Wizards organization thinks of it as a big deal. But here's what I'm gonna say: I'm gonna hold the accountability to the fans. If the fans are not inquiring about where he is, then the fans are just as guilty for
exactly,
not being concerned about them. Again, here
exactly.
we go again. We got to hold the fans accountable. You
Yeah.
got to be concerned. I was chatting with somebody today on Twitter about that, and even they were kind of wondering, like, you know what, is something going on? Here's the thing, man. This is the state of the Wizards, okay? It's not the state of this player and that player. We talking about the whole damn team, and he's still a member of this team until he's either traded or he's released. So we're
Exactly.
going to talk about him. And my
Exactly.
thing is, if you call yourself a fan of the Wizards and you're going to take just what the organization is telling you, that's an issue. That's the reason why we can never get out of the rut that we're in, because we constantly keep taking what the organization's telling us.
Mm-hmm.
I have an issue with the fact that he's not being talked about, that we're acting like he's not a member of this team at all. That is a
Exactly.
major concern, and I just don't like it. Like I said last week, there's this stench that's going around with this organization, this narcissistic attitude that this organization has picked up since
Hmm.
they traded John Wall. And yes, I'm going to say that. And I know people are going to probably not like the fact that I'm saying it, but it's the truth. It seemed like they adopted this narcissistic attitude, and it ain't no secret who pretty much got it the most. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the captain of the team really has a narcissistic attitude, but come on, man. We got a missing player right here, and we're going to pretend like we don't give a shit about that.
Acting like ain't
I
nothing
actually
going
care
on.
about that. I want to know where is he?
Right.
Denny didn't play last night, and that even that made me think about that. Well, damn. So we don't know where Rui is, but now we're not going to play Denny either.
Yeah, and
Like, come on.
yeah, I
So
mean,
I don't get it, man.
yeah. Look, I guess we'll leave it there. At the end of the day, it's all speculation. We aren't here to, again, we're not here to draw out a perfect, map of things for you guys. And look, to me, the organization, they're taking the attitude like they don't have to for us either. They feel like they
Right.
don't have to, draw out a perfect map for us. So, if that's their attitude, then guess what? I'm going to speculate. You're going to speculate. It's going to be a lot
Right.
of fans out there that speculate. And I'm sorry, you guys who act like, people aren't supposed to do that, that's your problem. That's not mine. You know,
Exactly.
at the end of the day, we're all fans of the team. We cheer the team on. We should support one another for the same reasons. Hey, I'm concerned about Rui's well-being. My man Kjose seems to be concerned about Rui's well-being. Everyone should be concerned about
Concerned
Rui's
about his
well-being,
well-being.
and that's
If
where
you're
we're
not
at.
concerned about it, then
Right,
that's an issue. Because my
right,
thing is, again, it comes down to the fans. You got to be held accountable. You should be
exactly.
worried about like what's going on with him. And I think it's a small percentage of fans who are only concerned about his well-being, and the rest of them don't care.
Right.
Because probably the rest of the fans who don't care will probably like to see him traded any damn way. But if you can put that to the side, at the end of the day, where is he?
Right.
Why are we not talking? Why is the organization not talking about it? It's almost like the organization has a gag order to talk about where his whereabouts are. That's a concern.
Absolutely. So we'll move on.
All
Rui,
right.
hope you're doing well, man. Can't wait to see you suited up in a Wizards uniform again. So let's talk about last night, man. Wizards preseason game. The
Mm-hmm.
Wizards lost this game
Mm-hmm.
against the Houston Rockets. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me, based off of what you saw, and we'll play some highlights here. Based off of what you saw, how do you think the team responded in their first preseason game? Mind you, it is their first preseason game. How do you think they responded to Wes Unseld Jr.'s new system?
I think they responded okay. I did see a lot of mental lapses in the game. Of course, this is preseason, so I'm not going to really hold them too much on that. One of the things that I will say is that I didn't see a lot of stupid turnovers, especially from the point guard. I mean, Dinwiddie only had one, and he was a +7 in the game. Um, man, Daniel Gafford is a beast, man. I mean, I'm amazed that Chicago just was willing to give him up like that. I like what Daniel Gafford brings. I like what Montrezl Harrell brings. Those two guys are energy guys, something that this team need. But I see what Wes Unseld said, because I think I read where he said that we'll probably be giving up 3-point shots, which we did do that a lot last night. Um, but there is still some improvement that has to be made. There are times where
How
there are
about that
some
guy right
players.
there? How about that guy?
Man, Aaron Holiday actually proved me wrong. I thought that he wasn't really going to get any burn, but now, by looking at him last night, I think he should back up Dinwiddie instead of Howell Neto. I mean, he's solid. He
He's
looks
as
like he's
solid.
hungry.
He's as solid as they come to me.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
hungry.
man, he
So
earned every minute he got last night.
he earned it. He earned every minute he got last night. Daniel Gafford is Daniel Gafford. Montrezl Harrell. I can't stop talking about the guy. He just doesn't give up. Uh, Davies Bertans, he's just going to continue to chuck up shots. Whether he's in rhythm or not. I do like what I see out of Corey Kispert. He's a jump shooter. Some people think that he's making Davies Bertans expendable, which he probably will. Um, but there were some times that I did notice that some players was kind of like doing their own thing, and they weren't really following what Wes Unseld Jr. wanted them to do. There were a few mental lapses here and there, people not staying on their man. I did see a little bit of laziness here and there. I know a few times we gave up a lot of second chance points. Guys were expecting someone else to get the rebound or box out, and it didn't happen. And then I did see a little bit of a couple. Well, one thing I will say, Kyle Kuzma was that guy. What shot did he not take that he didn't like? I mean, that guy just shoot as much as he wants to because he was 3 for 10 from the field last night. So a lot of you folks out there that think he's going to come here and average 20 points, we'll see what he do during the regular season. But from what I saw last night, I think we're going to be dealing with this guy having some up and down games throughout the whole season. I don't really have this high expectations that he's going to just kill this season, like some people are saying.
Right. What I was most impressed with was the fact that all 5 starters scored in double figures.
Yeah.
So there was no drop off in the starting lineup. I think Kyle Kuzma had a very slow start. He shot pretty poor. He was 3 for 10 from the floor. You saw the likes of Spencer Dinwiddie, his first game back from that repaired ACL. He played very well. And, he actually was playing at a good speed and a good pace last night. I was very impressed. I was very impressed by his pace. I think he only turned the ball over one time.
Yeah, he did.
So that right there is already a plus. I'm not here to, take shots at previous players here. But truth is that if he plays more under control this year, that's a plus for the Wizards. Because
I agree.
Because we turned the ball over way too much last season. And a lot of it happened from the point guard position.
It did.
So he shot 50%. Daniel Gafford didn't miss a shot. 5 for 5. How about that guy? How about Daniel Gafford, man? I mean, look at this play here. Well, first of all, that play right there is you see how they focused in on Daniel Gafford on that high pick and roll.
Right.
He drew in 2, and then they kicked it out to Corey Kispert in the corner for 3. That play right there is going to be our bread and butter all season because there's going to be a lot of teams. There's going to be a lot of teams that are focused in on Daniel Gafford. He's just a mismatch.
Yeah, he is.
He's a mismatch.
That's what we're going to actually need. That's when we're going to need Spencer Dinwiddie to make teams pay. And the thing about Spencer Dinwiddie that I have to point out, because, I'm not going to talk negative about the previous point guards because he kind of fits in the category when it comes down to shooting percentage. He's not much better than those guys when it comes down to shooting from the field goal or shooting threes. So I think, if anything, he's going to be probably a better game manager than those guys. I did see a tweet where somebody, ain't gonna take no secret who said this, said that in so many words, I guess that the backcourt will be somewhat on the line of a CJ McCollum, Dame Lillard type. I'm not too sure what they meant by that, but Spencer Dinwiddie, from what I see, he lets the game come to him.
Right.
So he plays at a pace that he makes the game easy for himself.
Right.
What I like to see is him getting his teammates involved. Can he do that? Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm spoiled with that. Even Westbrook did get the teammates involved, so I do expect him to get other players involved as well, besides him trying to get his. So
let's take a look at some of these highlights here, and let's kind of go over some of these plays. Spencer Dinwiddie kicks it out to Kuzma. Kuzma's shooting the deep 3 right there. He's hitting that deep 3. Are you comfortable with Kyle Kuzma standing on the perimeter and shooting over the top of defenses like that this season?
No.
So you're not comfortable with that?
No. And the reason why I'm not comfortable with that is because unless he can hit that on a consistent basis, he has to show me that he can hit that shot on a consistent basis. Again,
because if he misses that shot, that's just a bad shot.
That's a bad shot. But Kyle Kuzma has those games where he's up and he's very streaky. He can have those games where he can't miss, and then he'll have those games when he can miss.
Right.
So
I
The
agree.
thing that works to Kyle Kuzma's advantage, which I didn't know, is that he's 6'10", and 9 times out of 10, whoever's guarding him, especially if it's a small forward, he's
Mhm.
probably going to be taller than that small forward. So I would like to see him sometimes
Down in
take
the
it into the
post.
rack, play
Yeah,
in the post.
right,
Use your height advantage if necessary.
right.
If
Look,
you got that open 3-point shot, take it. But if you got a mismatch, take advantage of that mismatch.
absolutely. Look at Jason Tatum. I mean, that's somebody that he's been compared to his entire career. And Jason Tatum is miles ahead of him when it comes down to, the low post game, inside, outside, picking his spots, getting buckets where he can. Jason Tatum is an all around player.
Yeah,
Kyle Kuzma at this stage in his career should be there,
but
but
he's not.
he's not there. And you can kind of tell. I don't think we need more than one preseason game to tell that he's not there and he's nowhere close.
He wasn't there before he became a Wizard. So, I mean, let's be for
Exactly.
real.
Exactly.
Now, what I would like to see,
How
and
about
we
this?
saw it, we
Yeah,
saw
go
it
ahead.
last night, is the pick and roll between Spencer Dinwiddie and Daniel Gafford. I want to see more of that.
So how about yeah, I do too. I love that play. Here's Kispert in the corner again. It looks like again, man, he's solid. Like one thing I can tell you about Corey Kispert, man, is he's gonna be a player where he's in that corner. You see that corner three he's hitting?
Hmm.
He's gonna get that every
Oh,
game.
that's gonna be there. That's gonna be there
It's
all day,
it's
all
gonna
game
be there.
long.
Exactly. And because, certain players, Bill, Spencer Dinwiddie, these guys are gonna command, so much attention on the offensive end that Kisper is just gonna be hanging out. And
Right.
right now it's looking like he's definitely a three ball sniper.
And I
He,
think that's the reason why, he was drafted to be that three-ball sniper. I mean, that shot is going to be available to him every chance he get, far as that corner three. So as long as he's hitting that at a high clip, which I know he will,
mm-hmm.
I mean, he's gonna make defenses pay. Let's put it that way.
So let's talk about defense. What you see on the defensive end, because I think we can. So Daniel Gafford right there, it
A
looks
few
like
times he got beat.
yeah,
He got a few times he got beat. In this particular play, he got beat again, and I think a lot of that just had to do with the fact that he wasn't trying to get another foul because I think he was in foul trouble last night.
right. So
That's something that Daniel Gafford is going to have to work on is actually using his fouls at the right time. And
yeah, not getting in foul
Christian
trouble.
Wood played like trash to me last night. He didn't really play that well, but
Mm-hmm.
when he made plays, he made it when it count, and that was one particular play that he made count. And like I said, I think he just took advantage of Daniel Gafford because he was in foul trouble.
Right. So I looked at that as well. But here's the thing: even if he's not in foul trouble, I noticed this last season. He's when teams like the Rockets, for example, you got Christian Wood, right?
Hmm.
So he's a big body in the paint, man. I mean,
Yeah,
just
he is.
tall, athletic. Can get any shot he want. You
Right.
know, Daniel Gafford has a hard time defending those types of guys, one on one
Uh,
in the paint. He really does.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think teams understand that. That's something he's gonna have to work on. But guess what? Thomas Bryant ain't the greatest one on one defender either. Like like
No, he's not.
you know, I would still rather have Daniel Gafford defending, bodying, getting dirty in the paint before anyone else on the squad. So I don't see that as a big issue for Daniel Gafford, but that is one of his issues.
Yeah, I think that's gonna always be an issue with him. The thing about Daniel Gafford is the fact that he makes his presence known in the paint. So he makes the opposing team's point guard or anybody that likes to slash the basket think twice because you gotta look and find out where he is. But
Mm-hmm.
when he's going up against a guy like a Christian Wood, or even if he's going up against a guy like Jokic, he's going to have problems with those type of guys because when those guys just have a variety of moves in that paint, he's easy. He easily can get a foul. I mean, we used to see that with Marcin Gortat. He used to have problem with those type of players as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just going to be something that we'll just have to deal with Daniel Gafford. But as long as he be's that defensive anchor that we want him to be, where he's basically not going to allow the opposing team's point guard to slash the basket and get an easy bucket.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that I really, really be concerned about. But he definitely has to watch his fouls because he's still getting some foul trouble too much.
So, let me say this, man. Kevin Porter and Jalen, that backcourt is gonna be dangerous.
Let me say this, bro, before you even go any further. Let
Yeah.
me just stop right there, and I'll let you finish your point. This is what frustrates me about the organization too, because we actually had an opportunity. I mean, the Houston Rockets only had to give up a second round pick to get Kevin Porter Jr. We could have gave that up. Now I know I've been very critical about us giving up draft picks, especially second rounders, but I would not have a problem if we had gave up a second round draft choice to get Kevin Porter Jr. This kid is going to be a star, and Cleveland is going to regret that they even gave up on him so soon.
Yeah.
But then you put a kid like Jalen Green right beside him,
Yeah.
and Jalen Green kind of has he reminds me a little bit of a shorter Kevin Durant in some aspect. Some people say that they probably see a little bit of Bill in him. I see a little bit more of KD.
Yeah.
Him and Kevin Porter Jr., they're going to be a problem for a lot of backcourts in the future, man.
Oh
A
yeah.
major problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like without a doubt. Without a doubt. I look, I wish the Wizards could have got him. I wish the Wizards would have thought about it. That was something we were definitely talking about around that time. But for whatever reason, we just don't see that vision. Hindsight's always 2020. We go back, we say, man, Klay Thompson looked like it would have been a hell of a pick.
Mm-hmm. Kawhi Leonard would have been a hell of a pick.
Giannis would have been a hell of a pick. I mean, think about the fact, man, that we had an opportunity to draft all those players, all of those guys,
and we didn't do it.
And we didn't do it.
But I think with this draft, it really hurts because at one point in time, it looked like we were trending to where we would be a lottery team, but then we decided that we didn't want to. And a lot of that, I know what that is. We didn't want to make certain players feel uncomfortable. That's the reason why we didn't entertain getting Kevin Porter Jr. because we didn't want to make Russell Westbrook feel uncomfortable. Right. And even if we had a losing season and we were a lottery bound team, there were certain players in that draft that made perfect sense for us, but we didn't want to make, a certain player feel uncomfortable if we drafted them. That's the reason why we don't have Moody. That's the reason why we don't have Dorte, because it would have made who feel uncomfortable.
I mean, look, we're postponing the inevitable. Eventually, we're going to have to visit these realities, okay? Bradley Beal, I don't know why people think that just because, we should remain loyal and Bill should remain loyal, that we should automatically pass up on all this talent, at that position or at that spot. We're a young team. We're going to have to start talking about eventually moving on past Bradley Beal. Actually, we're already there. But
let me say this, my dude. Hold that point.
You have your loyalists. You have your people out there who feels that Bill can actually lead this team.
Let me say this, man. I'm going to show this to you guys for the fans out there since we're talking about this. If you can read this. I don't know if you can read it or not. Let me pull it back. Maybe you can't read it. Never mind. So what it says, he says, I want to win the right way and do it here. And I think we have enough. So it's just we have to get it done. I don't care the fact that he said that. Okay. He said we had enough. I'm going to hold his ass accountable for that. But I don't care the fact that he said he wants to do it here. That's being politically correct. That's all that is. We've seen countless of players, I've heard countless of players say that about the franchises that they were with, only for them to leave. KD said some of the same things when he was at OKC. What happened? He went to Golden State. Mm-hmm. We hear this all the time. So just because a player says that, that does not mean that they can't change their mind.
Right.
It doesn't mean that. And if you are a true Wizards fan and then your Wizards history, name me a Wizard player who re-signed for a long-term deal, who finished that contract here. We just traded away one of them last year in the name John Wall. We seen Marcin Gortat not finish it. We seen Jameson, Gilbert not finish these contracts. It doesn't mean anything if he signs a super deal, a super duper max.
Juwan
that he
Howard.
will actually finish it. Juwan Howard. It doesn't mean that he will finish their contract here. Just
Right.
because they sign it on the dotted line, that does not mean they're going to finish it here. So to go back to what we were saying with these players, there's a lot of young talent that we could have drafted. There's going to be some going next season that we could draft. But I feel that we're not going to do that because we don't want to make this guy feel a certain type of way. And as a fan, I'm tired of it. I'm very tired of it because once again, we're talking about one particular player who's out there on the court playing, but we're not talking about another player who's not on the court playing right now, who we haven't heard a goddamn thing from since last week. And we didn't really even hear anything about that particular player. We just heard a text. Allegedly, he sent a text. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say allegedly he sent a text. We don't know if he sent the text because we haven't seen the text.
Right. Right. I mean, man. I mean, all we have is the Wizards' word on this. That's all we have. We don't have
And in
nothing
my
else.
opinion, my dude, in my opinion, their word is no longer bond. In my opinion, because they've lied to us so much. I can't believe everything that this organization says anymore.
Right. Right. So
But to go back to the game last night, I'm not holding Wes Unseld accountable for that performance yesterday. What I will say is Houston has a little bit more depth than what we have because it was their third and fourth string guys that won the game last night.
yeah,
And
I was kind of surprised to see, how deep they were because I didn't
right.
realize that they had that much talent. Like even the guy that they just drafted overseas, I want to say what's his name?
Oh, Sungoon.
Sangoon. Yeah,
Oh man, I like that kid, man.
he's a stud. He's a stud. And
I
matter
was
of fact,
hoping that the Wizards was going to draft him in the second round. I believe. I think he was. I was hoping they would have drafted him, or at least I thought Tommy was going to probably try to get his draft rights because they was hyping him up. And when I looked at him, he's clearly NBA ready. He's already a pro at it. By just looking at him. There were a
yeah,
few times that Montrezl Harrell couldn't do nothing on this guy.
yeah. I mean, he's solid. I mean, just
He's solid.
straight up and down, you can see the potential in the kid. I mean, the Rockets definitely have something to build on there.
Hmm.
And so do we. I mean, I'm not going to slight Isaiah Todd. I think he has a really bright upside. Is really how we mold this guy. We mold this player.
Right.
Right now, what I can say is based off of how we've treated, our young talent in the past. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's looking like maybe if he's not improved by his third or fourth year, we may be already turning a page on the kid, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
so so he has to show promise very early. I don't know how patient Wes Unseld Jr. is going to be with a lot of his young guys. He's a veteran coach at this point in his career,
Right.
which is this is good because we can now turn this into a segue this into training camp and how Wes Unseld Jr. right now is actually doing with the team. So your opinion and your take based off of what you saw last week, first full week of training camp.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you think Wes Unseld Jr. did, and what do you think the message is to the players on the team?
Well, from what I saw last week, I did see the players talking to each other. They're communicating. Seemed like they were having fun during training camp. Um, and one thing that I've noticed, and I don't really want to, push it any further than that. But when I look at a lot of Wes Unseld Jr.'s interviews, you know, he has a business mindset about how he's teaching it, how he's coaching his team. He says a lot of things are mental over and over again. He says that a lot. So that's the accountability piece that he's holding on to players when he talks about, oh, it's everything is mental. It's all mental. It's mental. Basically saying that what I got from is that there are some guys that's making this a little bit complicated when it really doesn't have to be. So I like Wes Unseld Jr. because I love the fact that he hasn't shied away from the accountability piece. He's
Mm-hmm.
letting it be known that there is going to be accountability all the way around. We don't have to discuss this because it's all mental. it's like it's their job. This is what they get paid a lot of money to do. My job is to coach them. Their job is to execute. And that's pretty much what it is. So that's why I said these, to your point, these next 4 years, I'm not jumping all over Wes Unseld Jr. because he's already put it out there. He's put the blueprint out there. He's giving these guys the tools. It's up to them to use the tools.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say is that him doing that, it made some players realize, okay, this is business. Montrezl Harrell called players only meeting
Yeah.
within training camp. He called that.
Yeah.
We've never seen that before.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Bradley
Well,
Beal said, "Hey, look, it's my job to try to lead this team." Now, a lot of that may have to do with Tommy Shepard pretty much saying that, "Hey, this team goes as far as Bradley Beal takes them." But what we know is that there is accountability. That's what we see. That's what I'm seeing, and I like the fact that Wes Unseld Jr. is not shying away from that at all every time he talks.
well, not only that, it's a sense of urgency already in training camp.
Yeah,
We've never really saw a coach come in here and have the same sense of urgency that Wes Unseld Jr. has. We've seen a more laxed approach. We've seen a more, we'll get to that when it's time to get to that. Wes Unseld Jr. is not taking any of that attitude at all. You don't see that energy at all coming from Wes Unseld Jr.
Mm-mm.
He hit the ground running. His very first day coaching the team, he told the team, this is more mental. Like, first of all, to the leadership, you guys can do all this talking on the outside, but it starts right here on the basketball court. Okay. If you guys can talk out there, you guys can talk in here as well. And this is where it's supposed to happen, right here on the basketball court. So that message in itself, it should ring a lot of ears in the organization and especially the players that this man means business. What he's
Right.
saying, what he's saying is actually sticking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches that come through here that may say things, okay, well, we know you make a lot of money, you're a high paid coach. Okay, you're going to come in here and say that you're going to implement this, implement that. It goes through one ear and out the other. But I believe that Wes Unseld Jr. is creating these different projects for certain players on the team. Hey, this is your project. Hey, this is your project. This is yours. Hey, when we go over this in practice, I'm expecting you to retain this information. Okay. When we leave out of here today, come back tomorrow, show me what you retained. And if you didn't retain it, we'll make sure you work on it where you can retain it. And you know what your job and your responsibility is as a basketball player on this team.
Right.
Okay. To your point, it rang in players' ears so much that Montrezl Harrell said, hey, players only meet. You don't see that until the middle of the season.
Yeah.
We got players already buying into the system, and I think it's great. I think it's a great thing. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
To me,
Absolutely.
here's where I'm at. Okay. Yes, we need this. This squarely falls on the shoulders of leadership. If this doesn't get to the leadership and Bradley Beal specifically, then it's never going to get to him. And it's never going to be enough for a player like him to realize this is what we're demanding out of you as a leader and what we're demanding out of the team in order for us to be successful. And if none of y'all can get this done, then we're not going to wait my entire 4 years to make those changes. We're going to make those changes immediately.
Right. He did say that.
If the message isn't getting across from day one that these things that I'm trying to implement happens, if we're not winning ball games, if we're not competing, if we're not communicating, if we're not doing the things I'm expecting us to do, best believe we're going to make changes sooner than later.
Oh, absolutely. And I do believe that. I mean, one of the things he said was, If the coaching staff, if we have to get involved, far as telling these guys what they need to do, then we have a problem. So that's him putting it on the players. And you and I have said it's not going to be about the coaching staff. It's going to be about the players this upcoming season. What are the players are going to do? Are you going to, take on with this man? Are you going to buy in? And here's what I'm going to say. There's going to be some that's going to buy in, and there's going to be some that's not going to buy in.
That's
It's going to happen.
that's fine. Don't buy in.
There's going to be some.
Don't
There's
buy
going to be
in.
some that do and some that don't.
Best believe if you one of those players that's not buying in, your job's going to be on the line, and you're not going to be here very long. I can almost assure you that these next 4 years is not the last 4. These 4 years. Look,
it's not.
What does Fat Joe say now? Yes, today's price is not yesterday's price. This 4 years is not the last 4 years.
Nope.
I can assure you, all y'all apologists out there and all y'all excuse makers, you won't be making the same excuses. You will not be apologizing as much as you used to the last 5 years, because Wes Unseld Jr. is going to make sure that doesn't happen. Oh, best believe.
And then remember, my dude, I said to you offline, when we hired him, when he was hired, I said, and then one of the things that he said in a press conference was, he said he thinks that the backcourt is buying in. This was before Westbrook got traded.
Mm-hmm.
And that stood out to me when he said that. I think that they bought in.
Right.
I say, okay, that means somebody ain't buying in. Well, it turns out it was Westbrook that didn't buy in. I someone think that, that number 3 didn't buy in.
All the way, right. He wasn't all the way in either, right.
He wasn't all the way in either. He wouldn't have pondered for you haters out there. He wouldn't have had that conversation. He wouldn't have pondered his future with the team. Some of you folks out here don't like to read and think that conversation never happened. But it did happen. It's in the article. Right. But what we're seeing is a coach. I think there's going to be times that even with star players on this team, like the important players on this team, if they're not doing their job, I think we will see Wes Unseld pull them out of the game and have them sit on the bench. And we haven't seen that since Randy Whitman. He used to hold his players accountable. But Wes Unseld Jr., the difference between him and Randy Whitman is Wes Unseld Jr., the moment he took that job, he already started throwing that word accountability right out there and said, you are going to be held accountable. It's from the star player all the way down to the guy who don't hardly get any minutes. You are held accountable. You get paid a lot of money. I'm going to give you the tools to become successful. It's up to you to use those tools. If you don't use those tools, then we need to find you another place, because this is not a daycare center. He ain't here to take care of no damn kids.
Right.
These are grown men who make a lot of damn money. If you want to be the guy, if you say you really want to win ball games and a championship, then you got to lead by example.
Absolutely.
And we really haven't seen that in a while.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, based off of your overall assessment, and then we'll wrap this up, your overall assessment so far, 1 week of training camp, first preseason game, what's your assessment so far?
Well, I think this team is going to play hard. I don't think that's going to be a question. I think we're going to be scrappy, but I do think that we're going to go through a little bit of a chemistry issue, because it's a bunch of new players on this team. So we got to factor that in. They got to get to know each other. Mm-hmm. And the whole purpose of Montrezl Harrell doing that team, that players only meeting, was more so the players can kind of get to know each other.
Build chemistry.
To build up some type of chemistry. That's going to take time. I mean, here's where I'm at. I don't think I don't have the expectations that this team could make the playoffs. If they make it, that's gravy. But I don't have the expectations that they can make the playoffs, because there's too many new guys on this team. We got a player who is currently missing right now, who's not even being implemented into what's going on at this moment. So when he comes back, we got to factor him in there. And that's going to be another player that got to build up some type of chemistry, because he's missing training camp as we speak. And he already missed the first preseason game. So my expectation is that this is going to be a learning curve for these players. I'm expecting the young guys to get more experience under their belt, but I'm also expecting these veterans, who are some of the important pieces, the Kuzmas, the Bills, the Spencer Dinwiddies of the world, for those guys to lead by example. Because let's be for real, Dinwiddie, Bill, Kuzma, Harold. These guys are like either in their mid to late 20s. There is no honeymoon of you being young and you unexperienced. No, you guys got some time and some veteranship season under you. First of all, you got KCP, Kuzma. These are champions. Montrezl Harrell has been successful playing for the Lakers, was successful playing for the Clippers. We can't use age anymore with some of these
Right.
guys.
Right. I mean,
So
yeah.
we can't use that anymore. And
Right.
I don't want to hear, when the team is struggling, oh well, these guys, that you can't expect some of these players to lead these guys because they don't have no help. No, that's been nipped in the bud too, because the star player said that, oh, we got enough. So
Right.
I don't want to hear that either. And the pundits have said, oh, we got enough help on this team. So no more excuses for that. But my thing is, I think that this team is going to struggle a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be mad if we don't make the playoffs. The whole purpose is for Wes Unseld to put his blueprint on this team and to build this team the way he wants to build this team. And that's going to take time. I have to be realistic.
So my final assessment is, or my overall assessment, in this short period of time, is that, we're in the beginning. This is all just building blocks. This is like anything. You're a toddler, you got to learn how to crawl before you can walk. And this is a brand new team. Aside from Bradley Beal, this is a team that, everyone has to find their niche. Everyone has roles that they have to fall into. And you're going to have players that can't play with one another. We'll learn that throughout the season. You're going to have chemistry issues. We're going to learn that. You're going to have the rookie wall. You got to include that in there. And then you're going to have those games where we're just getting out coached. And you're going to have those games where we're getting outplayed because the opposing team is just that much more better than we are. So one thing we have to keep in mind is that we're one of the youngest teams in the NBA. Okay? We're one of the youngest teams in the NBA. If we do win anywhere upwards of 35 plus games this season, that's actually exceeding expectations. There are people out there that's projecting us to win 49 games. Okay? That's not realistic for this team. I'm just going to keep it up. That's not realistic. For you folks out there who's saying we're a deep team and we can win 49 games, come on, let's be for real. Bradley Beal's the only all-star we have on the team. This would require a 49-win team would require 2 all-stars and possibly a third. Okay? You need that. You look. That's
2016, 2017 season, period. That's all you got to say. 2016,
2017, or you can go back as far as Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson, Caron Butler years, where you had the triple threat, and then that fourth guy, Deshaun Stevenson, who was just, a reliable, everyday, defensive, guy and a 3-ball threat. Like, we're not there, folks. We're not there yet. But we are building ourselves up to that and setting these unrealistic expectations, especially this early in the season. You just can't do it, okay? But I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I know the folks out there who said that they believe that we're a 4th seed, a 5th seed, a 6th seed. I'm holding you guys to that, okay? Because guess what? Bradley Beal said we have enough. He said we have enough. See, I'm a realist. I wouldn't even dare say that if I was Bradley Beal.
No.
But Bradley Beal is going to Bradley Beal. He's going to get you guys. He's going to get you guys going. Because at the end of the day, you guys want this build around Bill project to work. And he wants you to keep talking about it. So it's his job to make this thing look good, sound good. Hey, I'm the leader. We got enough. Okay, let's make it happen. Truth be told, Bradley Beal, we have enough, but reality says
we don't have enough.
We don't have enough. We're nowhere near.
We're not as deep as you think we are. I mean,
No.
I hate to cut you off. I mean, again, we lost last night. It was a preseason game, but it wasn't Houston's star players that beat us. It was their deep end of the bench. And we've been told that this team is deep. Now, we got a lot of players, a lot of depth, but that doesn't make us, well, we just deep when it comes down to depth.
Well,
But
let
does
me
that
say
mean that
this.
those players are good? That remains to be seen.
Let me say this, and I'll wrap this up. Let me say this. We're deep enough to stay in every game this season.
Right.
We're deep enough to stay with the best teams in the East. We're deep
Mm-hmm.
enough to stay with even the best teams in the West. But truth be told is you're not going to pull these games out if Bradley Beal's not averaging 35 plus.
Right. Who's going to close the game out is the question.
Who's going to close the game? Who's going to be that guy that steps up? There's so many unproven players on this team. I can't, legitimately, confidently tell you that it's going to be Dinwiddie, that is going to be Kuzma, that is going to be Kispert. I'm nowhere near that confident to tell you guys that I believe that the next man up is going to be the person who helps close the game out. Nowhere near that. If I'm confident in telling you guys, then I can tell you that I believe that we're going to be this or we're going to be that. I know for a fact you guys aren't that confident about it either. So, we need to really stop talking like we know we're going to be a 4th or 5th seed team in the East. We really need to stop talking like that. Truth is,
Right.
we don't
I mean,
know. We don't know.
know.
We
really
don't know.
don't. I mean, I think people are to end it. I think people are acting like the Eastern Conference didn't get better. I mean, there are other teams in the Eastern Conference that actually got better.
Exactly.
You still gotta play against the Milwaukee Bucks. They are the champs. You still gotta play against the Atlanta Hawks. You still gotta try to beat the Knicks. You're gonna have to try to beat this new improved Chicago team that is actually pretty good on paper. They're solid. You just don't know.
Right.
So for those who say, "Oh, I think we'll be a 5th or 6th seed team and we can go to the second round," based off of what? What makes you think we can go directly to the second round? First of all, there's a lot of people thinking that we'll probably be anywhere between 8th to 10th in the East. That to me is realistic.
Right.
I think that's more realistic. I believe this team is going to be good enough to be in the play-ins again. Shouldn't have been in the play-in last year when you have a prominent backcourt that we had, but we were in the play-ins last year. Mm-hmm. This team, I definitely expected to be in the play-ins because it's a lot of question marks with this team. A lot of things have to go right for this team to be a 5th or 6th seed. It has to go right. You're talking about other players being injured. So I'm just saying, for those of you that think this team can go out here and win 48 games or 45 games, pump your brakes a little bit.
Yeah, it's just
pump your brakes. Just pump your brakes, man. That's all I'm always saying is pump your brakes. Let this team develop. Let them grow.
Exactly.
We're not going anywhere right now. So let this team develop and grow.
Absolutely.
I think it's just the NBA fans and those fans who are Wizards fans that gets the hold of them, because they say these things and then they want to talk about John Morant and they want to talk about Zion and so forth.
Wizards fans.
Yeah, so-called fans. They want to talk about John, what LeBron is doing. Well, some don't want to talk about LeBron based off his political views, but you know what I mean. You know who you are.
Right. So anyway, that concludes this episode of State of the Wizards. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys on episode 9. We'll try to think of a name we can come up with episode 9. But this one right here is dedicated to Kobe Bryant, episode 8. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.